participants are Debra Reinhart, and John Wayne Shafer. We joined their conversation in the faculty lounge.
Every day, or just occasionally, or just?
Well, in theater we're very project driven, so we have a production schedule for one particular show and or class, and then we complete that project and we move on to the other one. So sometimes I work very closely with her, on an actual project. We really enjoy that. That's something we met doing theater. So that's a real treat when it happens, because we really respect each other's work, and we have fun.
Oh, I see. I appreciate how hard you're working too.
yeah, and so it's great to have that opportunity. But it's also great because in theater we put in so many hours.
Sure.
Because of the rehearsals go into the evening, so we won't get home if we're in production until 11 or 12 at night. And of course we've still got the teaching schedule in the day. That means we can frequently not leave, depending on when we get in, 8, 9, 10 in the morning, all the way through to about 11 or so at night. That's a long day, and it means that if we're both in theater and we're both in different places, it means we don't see each other. So having the ability to walk around the corner and say, hey, do you want to go do lunch, is great.
That is great. So you were in theater before you started teaching?
Yes.
You were an actor?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I worked as a director and an actor professionally for a number of years before getting into teaching.
What made you decide to focus more on teaching?
Well, I always enjoyed teaching, and I taught at several points in my career, even when I was doing the other, because I think it's, believe it or not, I have what I call a theater ethics setup going on, and basically what it means is it defines my role within the community as an artist. I think an artist has to be connected to the community that they're working in and servicing that community's needs, not just for entertainment, but part of the role that we serve as theater professionals is to raise questions. We ask questions because unless you believe we live in a perfect world already, we have to ask questions so that we can improve. So for me, my role as an artist has always been, in part, the role of the educator. So for me, it's not really a transition. It's a different flavor of doing the same kind of thing. And I was touring an awful lot for a while, and that can be very, very difficult. And I started to get older, and touring's great when you're in your 20s. By the time you start creeping into your 30s, you start to go, hey, this hotel stuff's a little old. I really wish I could see my wife. And there you have it.
I noticed in the paper the other day that we're doing a musical for first time or something.
No, we've been doing
a little night music.
Oh, that's UCF Orlando Shakespeare Festival.
Okay.
Excellent production values, wonderful place to go for theater. Little night music. We have one of our faculty members is in it, and I know she'll be a real treat to see. And I think it may be the Shakespeare Festival's first, but I'm not real sure.
I just remember seeing something about it being a first musical. So how is that different than what we do on campus?
Well, that's a good question. The Shakespeare Festival is an equity house, which means it's union. It uses professional actors, directors that come in, and that is their primary focus. And their focus is on producing high-value classical entertainment. They also have a play festival that's very nice that they've just started. But their role is not focused on the education of a body of students. We currently have a department of about 400 when you include graduate students, undergraduates, faculty members, and staff. And our focus is on the liberal arts education of the university in general with the BAs, but we also have very strong BFA and MFA and MA programs. The MFAs new programs.
I see.
And those programs are geared towards preparing the student for the professional world, either as an actor or a technician, etc. So when we choose a season, we'll choose the old stuff to give them training, the classical stuff that they need, because they'll experience that, and they'll frequently be called upon to have something to do with you know, a Shakespeare or a Greek play or a Williams or a Miller or something like that. So, but we'll also do some contemporary stuff so they can get a broad range of experience, so that when they go out to seek work, they're not caught off guard by any kind of style or situation.
I see. So I hear you're a playwright.
I write plays. I'm writing one now called Two Rainbows. It's a children's play, and it's associated with. I was given a Fulbright to go to Bolivia, essentially, to research this thing.
I was going to ask you about that.
And I got back actually just before the hurricane hit, and
Good timing.
yeah, excellent timing. But I'm writing this play about a shoeshine boy, because what I discovered while I was there was that there's a great deal of poverty. It's the poorest nation in the Americas. It's a wonderful place to go and visit, but I mean, you really can appreciate how wealthy you are by experiencing that. But the children would try to shine shoes frequently to try and earn any kind of income, literally to be able to eat. And so I've made a shoeshine boy the central figure of this little adventure, this little romp through Bolivia. And I found two clowns. One is indigenous. His name is Cusillo, and he's the god of joy among the Koya, and he's an Aymaran
Koya?
myth. It's a group of indigenous people there, and the Aymara is basically a tribe, a group, an ethnic group, and they have wonderful stories, and he's actually tied to their myth of creation at some point. But when the Spanish came in, they brought their own clown, because they didn't want that indigenous stuff going on, so they introduced a character called Peppino, which means cucumber.
Okay.
And he's actually connected to some of the Commedia dell'arte characters from Italy, you know, and they brought him in basically to have a battle of the clowns. And in some places, Cusillo is very much dominant. In other places, Peppino is dominant. And it has a lot to do with how Europeanized the area happens to be, I think.
So how long were you in Bolivia?
I was there for 5 weeks, but I got to
okay.
see an awful lot. I was in Cochabamba, Sucre, La Paz,
Oh, wow.
Potosí. I had a Santa Cruz. It was great.
Were you teaching it all there or lecturing?
I did do some workshops, did some television, did a television interview while I was there. I got to connect with a lot of artists that were there. I focused mainly on absorbing a lot of their history and a lot of their culture, and focused a lot on anything that was connected with story that seemed unique to Bolivia. And I found out that Lake Titicaca is a place, and it's and Lake Titicaca is, because I always thought that was just something silly somebody made up, but it's a real place. And a titi is an aqua puma, so it's a big water cat that legend has it used to live in the lake. So I mean, really, they really existed, and I thought, oh, that's a legend. No, so evidently they thought they had big water cats wandering around up there, so it was great.
So why Bolivia?
Why not Bolivia? We had
Iraq too.
Well, from a safety standpoint, Bolivians actually are not really upset with us.
Okay, that's a
so
good
in
thing.
the world view, Bolivians aren't as angry with us as some places. Like, for instance, Iraq would not be a great place to go right now.
No.
You know, they admire us a little bit and sometimes resent us, but that's pretty typical. And it, you know, if you're open with them, they'll open their hearts to you too. But you have to meet them on their terms. And it was a wonderful place to go. There are 34 languages, 3 national languages, and each language represents a different group with a different set of stories. So when you walk in and you're collecting stories, it's like going through a smorgasbord. And they will talk to each other with their weavings in the tapestry.
Oh, wonderful.
You know, because if a stitching goes, they normally stitch to the right, but if they stitch to the left, that means somebody is trying to change their life.
Ooh.
Which, that's subtle. I mean, it's thread. I would look at it and go, ooh, pretty color, you know, but there's an actual story to many of the tapestry weavings that are there. Some of them represent the underworld, you know, which is a different place. A devil for them is not an evil thing. The devil simply is a being that harbors incredible creativity, incredible chaos, and incredible fertility. And those things can be, they're more like neutral. Okay, so it was great. And then you'd go to play, very different there. One of the most dangerous places I ever have been in has been in a mine in Potosi, because there's none of the safety things that we're accustomed to, and my light went out and we were in the dark underneath there, and there's literally holes on either side. But I wouldn't have missed the adventure for anything, because I was going to see Tio. In each of the mines that they have there, they have a statue of the devil. They call him Tio, Uncle, there, and they give him coca leaves, and they give him cigarettes and alcohol, and this is in exchange for the minerals and good fortune, because the underworld belongs to Tio, right? But Tio's not evil the way we'd think of, and it took me a while to figure that out, because when they kept saying devil, because Cusio is also a devil, but they keep saying he's not evil, he's just mischievous. And well, how can you be a devil? But it's a different idea of what the underworld represents, and yeah, it was awesome. And you give dynamite to the miners because it's a gift, right? They're working very, very hard. And I brought coca leaves, and I gave coca leaves to the miner, and I gave the dynamite to the miner, and he only spoke Quechua, which was kind of odd because he was so high. But so he couldn't communicate. But what he did, I had the bottle that I was taking to Tio, right, of alcohol, and he goes, ooh. So I gave him the bottle of alcohol, and before we got 2 steps, he had undone it, taken a big hit off of the thing, and then started breaking the stick of dynamite and setting charges. We were still there.
Oh my goodness.
It was an amazing event. I had no idea that would be the idea of that happening never even crossed my mind.
That was just a tour.
Yeah, well, obviously not. And I thought, there's nowhere I can go. This guy is setting dynamite and he's drinking the alcohol that I gave him. Stupid. So but those kinds of things are things that will show up in my writing.
Do you speak Spanish?
Un poquito. I spoke no Spanish whatsoever before I earned the Fulbright. I studied like crazy before going, and I had some great people with me who really helped me out. So I was able to function.
Was this something that you've planned for years, or is this a recent thing? Or I'm just trying to,
Well, I heard about the Fulbright 2 years ago, and I've been pursuing the idea of going ever since. And
so this is specifically a Fulbright to go to both?
This was a Fulbright Hayes, to be specific. So it was a group. There were Brevard County teachers, several of them. Hi, guys, if you're there, because I haven't been able to speak to them since the hurricane. But the idea behind this is that we would go to another culture, absorb that culture, and then bring it back. And for the university professors who went, we were asked to create a project that could be shared with K through 12, hence the children's play.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
And the other half of the Fulbright Hayes winners were Brevard high school and primary school teachers. So we had a wonderful, wonderful experience together. And we went to several schools. We brought some books to give to some schools. When we were there, Scholastic Books donated some books for us to carry and we gave them to 2 schools and an orphanage.
Wonderful.
And it was just awesome.
That happened through our international office?
Yes, our international studies program definitely had a major hand in this.
Okay.
So Diane Chase heads that up now.
Right. Yes, I'm actually on the International Affairs Committee.
Oh,
So-
very nice. Well, then you know
Yeah.
a lot about it
Yeah.
then.
I don't remember this, but it just
Well,
went by me, I guess.
oh, it was magnificent because you would go. I ate llama while I was there.
Oh,
Llama.
great. Good for
you. I tromped through the Andes, hiked up in the mountains, and saw primitive art paintings that I think have some connection to my research for some of the stories and some of the things that I'm writing. I've collected an amazing library on folklore and tales that I'm very excited about, and I have some wonderful pictures from going through all the theaters there and of the people that we encountered. So it was wonderful.
So will the department put on this play, or
No,
what will happen to the
actually,
play?
I think what's going to happen is one of the Brevard County schools may actually put it on.
that would be fun.
I've written 2 full scenes of it. I've got about 11 pages into it, and I'm pleased. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I've set Peppino and Cusillo at odds. So Cusillo is trying to help the little shoeshine boy, and Peppino really wants to mess with him a little bit. So they travel, and they're going to meet the Titi. They're going to meet the Aqua Puma. They're going to meet several other characters as they go through.
Wow,
So
sounds great.
yeah, it's awesome, and I can't speak highly enough of the experience.
So going back to the plays that are produced by your department,
Okay.
Do the students get school credit for these, or how
Yeah,
does that
there's
work?
a TPP credit that applies to their performance when they hang lights, when they design lights. All of that gets put into some credit. In fact, you have to have a TPP at this point to be in the show.
I see.
Any student can audition for roles.
TPP stands for.
Theater production performance.
Okay, thank you.
And they have to have a certain number of those before they leave. But if you audition, you have to follow a certain set of rules. And then it's an open season. If you're right for the role, you'll get it. But considering the size of our department, it's very competitive.
I would think.
For those kinds of
You said
things.
400 students.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. And you brought up something. We are, if not the fastest growing department in the country, we are one of the most explosive
Yes.
programs in the country right now. We have a presence here at Cocoa Beach. We're in Lock Haven Park with Orlando Repertory Theater that used to be the old Civic. The UCF Orlando Shakespeare relationship. We also have Seaside Musicals in Daytona Beach, where we have a presence where some of our grad students are studying. We've got about 33 faculty now. So we're wearing a lot of different hats, and we have a very large presence that's going on. That's helping raise the profile of the university, because they've noticed that we're growing like this across the country.
Now, the theater has been around for a long time. It was there when I was a student. Has it been renovated over the years?
We actually are on the schedule to receive a new building.
PICO list.
Yes, the PICO list. Thank you. I couldn't quite remember what that thing was.
Don't ask me what that stands for.
We're approximately 2 years out from groundbreaking. Is what I think I keep hearing. We're waiting.
Keeping your fingers crossed.
We're keeping our fingers crossed. We currently have so many active stage spaces that we're not hurting, but we are turning away large numbers of people who would like to come and see the shows because we don't have the seats for them. Frequently, especially we've got some shows coming up. The Chorus Line is just going to break box office records, I'm sure. But there are going to be some people who are not going to be able to see it just because we don't have the adequate space for them, for all the people who want to come and support the theater.
Now you're an assistant professor.
I am. Mm-hmm.
How does one get tenure and promoted in the theater department?
Oh,
Imagine it's a little
bribery,
different than-
skullduggery, piracy.
Okay, that's the same. That's the same across campus, but
Well, there's a process. Here it's important to be very active within your department. We have a pretty high workload here, but then we also have to get outside of our department, both nationally and internationally. So, for instance, I directed in California I was invited to direct in Canada. I had to turn that down to go to Bolivia.
Good choice.
Yeah, it was an awesome choice. I'd like to go back to Toronto, but this was something else. But so you keep active outside of the department in a professional manner, so that you can maintain your ties and your knowledge of an industry that changes with fashion. You know, what's
Sure.
a headshot? What's the style of the headshot these days? You know, how does it work? What are the contract negotiations like? What are the interview processes with agents and that kind of thing? So the faculty here are very good about staying active in performance, both in Orlando and outside of Orlando. B. Boyd directed in Louisville, Kentucky. Witt, Jim Brown was in Germany this summer, directing in Germany. Lanny Harris was in Russia on doing some conferences, and she directed in California. And of course, she's back here, where she's doing a play that she wrote as part of a Fulbright to Mexico.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's actually going up shortly. The box office number is 407-823-1500. And they'll tell you all about the season. We've got a wide selection going on. We have a new youth drama MFA coming up, and that's housed over at Orlando Repertory Theater. And right now, A Year with Frog and Toad is playing. We have these wonderful children's plays that are going up now that are accessible to the community because we've reopened that space. 6 years ago, we had 6 faculty members. So the actual tenure process has been not one that we've gone through.
You went from 5 or 6 to 33?
Yes, we are the fastest
Tell
growing.
me your secret. I'm a chair of my department. I want to know, because we have twice as many students and half the number of faculty. So tell me the secret of getting more faculty.
Theater is very labor intensive. There's no way that you can do it without having those kinds of numbers. And actually, we're working very hard to go where we are. It sounds like a lot, but it really isn't, especially when you take into account the fact that we have presence in all these other areas. We're also receiving some support from Disney that is extremely valued and greatly appreciated, and that helps us grow. And because our faculty are doing high-profile projects that we're doing across interdisciplinary lines. We're bringing a lot of good feedback back to the university and a lot of good attention through that way, and I think all of that helps. But I'm not the administrator, so I really can't tell you. But those are my thoughts on the subject.
I see. So, are there any budding actors?
Always.
In your family, I was going to say.
In my family?
Yes.
Oh, no, I'm the only one.
No children, I meant.
No, unfortunately, we don't have any children. We have 3 cats, and we'd have a dog, but we just don't have the time. We're working too much.
Well, they do take time.
Yeah, well, they do take time, and unfortunately, I can't do that. Now, if they'd let me bring it into the office, I could probably have a dog, because I spend more time there than I do at home, unfortunately.
Well, I noticed, I looked at your website, and I noticed
I have a website?
Well, you have a presence on the web.
Okay.
And your name is John Wayne.
Yes.
So.
Fluke of nature. Didn't change it. It's my name. There's a tradition.
You had to be an actor then.
I guess that must have been it. But there's a tradition in my family that the firstborn son be given the name of the grandfather first, and then the father.
Oh, okay.
So John is my grandfather. Wayne is my father. John Wayne. And because of the nature of the business that I'm in, if I use the John Wayne, the full name, it gets remembered. And
well, it stayed with me.
It sticks, and being remembered is half the battle. So, because they could love what you do, but then if they can't remember your name, they don't know where to look to find you.
So you came from Texas, and I guess one of the drawing cards for UCF was the fact that you and your wife could come together. That must have been challenging to find
It is.
together.
It's very unusual. Some
Yeah.
institutions actually have policies that ban such things, which I think is silly.
It is,
I
yes.
mean, I understand the reasoning, because if there's some kind of domestic problem, then that could reflect poorly. But I'm aware of a number of couples that UCF has recruited specifically with that carrot, because and they've got some wonderful people that way. It was a big part of what